you so much for doing this interview with me. This is very cool because what I love about doing these kind of interviews, and I should tell everybody, of course, we're here in London, Ontario. We are here for Juno weekend. We're at the TD Green Room where performances are done by Canada's music incubators. There's always that rarity, because I've been doing this for a long time, I get to meet an artist for a first time.
True.
I happen to run into, this is it, yeah.
Rudy. Yeah.
I happen to run into your manager. She spoke about you, the fact that, congratulations, you have a nomination.
Thank you.
And what's the nomination?
I'm in reggae recording.
How long you been doing reggae music, my friend?
I've been doing reggae for over 30 years. But as this artist for 15, this is my 15th year, 8th nomination, and always great to be here. And having the Junos and the people like yourself and Music Counts being part of this whole thing helps get our music and everybody's music out there.
Now, you've won one before too, right?
I did. 2010, one with Prince Blanco.
What was that like to win, man? Because everybody's looking for that elusive goal.
The first one, that's the dream. You have the two firsts in your life. The first one, we get to hear your music on the radio for the first time. And you go, man, that's what I always hoped to hear. Right. And getting to win a Juno, which is our national awards, is the highest honor you can get as an artist. So it was mind-blowing, and a lot of great things came out of it. And it's great to see all the other new kids coming up. And somehow I'm still in there.
So does it push the I don't want to say competition, because we're all one big happy family, but does it push you in certain ways to, like, you know what, this sounds good, this person's doing, let me try a little bit of this, that, and still make it your own, of course?
I think, every artist develops their own sound, but what happens over time is you're going to take influences from everybody. If you hear a lick, something, you go, oh, that's nice, I'm going to try that in a new track. So I think what's great is that we're fostering each other, and I find that Canada is really a very fertile breeding ground for music that gets the opportunity not only here, but to lift off and go outside of Canada, which is a huge thing.
Well, what's huge for me is how we have never done an interview before. We're finally doing it now. So give me a little bit of background, my friend, because again, this is the first time we're meeting. Okay. When did this all start for you, man? In this genre, like, what was the love of it for you?
I'll tell you, this goes back to about 1988. I played in blues, acid jazz bands, but I started playing in reggae bands in '88. Played with Chris Taylor from E1.
Yes.
And the band won for a while, then jumped over to a very roots reggae thing, then acid jazz, then came back when technology kind of finally got to a point where I could afford it, and could start piecing my own music together. And I've had a long history. My father's Bill King, who's a pianist and a jazz musician, so I've been around it my whole life. And reggae is just the genre for me that spoke to me, and still does to this day. It's my passion, and been doing this for 15 years.
No, originally from where?
From Toronto.
From Toronto. The reason why I asked you that, because when you just talked about that era, there were a lot of Toronto reggae bands that broke and did extremely well, not just in the islands, but around the world. What was that like to be part of that group and knowing that you guys were making a home for this type of genre for Toronto, being heard across the country?
When you look back, Jamaica, the second wave of Jamaicans was Toronto after the UK.
Exactly.
Right? So we had all that influence coming out, and our good friend Pablo Paul and Jay Douglas, all these people, they were the guys who inspired me and my dad and kind of introduced us to this music. So in the 80s, Adrian Miller, Chester Miller, you had Leroy Sibbles, the Satellites, all these guys were playing at the Bamboo. The Bamboo was the place.
Here we go.
That's where I went.
Yeah.
That was it. That's where you went to hear all the best bands coming through. You saw the Wailers, you saw Burning Spear, everybody, Culture coming through. So that was my moment. I was like, this is what I want to do.
That's amazing. Now, what's the album that you're nominated for?
This one's called Sly and Robbie Meet Dubmatix Overdubbed.
Give me the feel of this, man, because again, this is my first.
Yes, it's of course the legendary Sly and Robbie, the Rhythm Twins. I've had the opportunity to work with so many great artists over the years, guys that I grew up listening to, like Sugar Minott, Alton Ellis, Michael Rose, you name it, a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
But getting to work with the guys who wrote the rhythms was a whole different thing, and it was an opportunity to take tracks that they had, and strip everything back, just the drum and bass, and rebuild them from top to bottom, bringing in a lot of Canadian talent. A lot of horn players, singers, different guys from the Stills, Gus Van Gogh, the great producer. So all these guys from Megadeth, everybody kind of go, here, let's do the Canadian thing on it now. And that's what we did. And it's, 1,400 radio stations around the world. It's won awards over in Europe. And so to get recognized here in my own country, you can't ask for better.
2019, what's the rest of the year looking like for you?
Always busy. Lots of music, working on a new album, working on remixes, just finished up something with UB40 and Ranking Roger from the English Beat.
Wait a minute. How are you just throwing out UB40 and English Beat and going, yeah, I'm doing this? Man, we're talking again, and all these other people. We're talking the masters, man, the people who are creating, helping this generation become what they are now.
And that's it. They're paying it forward. I get to pay it forward and help the younger generation too. So it's, these are all the cats that I looked up to, and get to work with them. They say, hey, you want to do something? I'm like, yeah, of course I want to do something. Just say the word. And that's, when I get somebody young coming to me going, hey, I'd love to do something, let's do something. And that's, you keep the cycle going.
Where do we find you then on social media?
Easiest way, Dubmatix.com.
Look, my friend,
that leads to everywhere.
Have a great time tonight. Have a great weekend. Thank you for doing this interview. Let's definitely keep in touch, all right?
Yes, Rudy, a pleasure. Thanks very much, man. Hope to see you again soon.